Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something that might just change the way you see love. See, people think men fall in love with beauty, with laughter, with how she walks or how she talks. But that's not what makes a man stay. What makes a man fall in love forever is one boundary: a woman's self-respect. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something I've learned after years of talking to men. Women, couples, and families, a man only truly respects what he has to work for. See, every man in this world is wired to chase something, to conquer something, to earn something. It's not arrogance, it's how we're built. When a man has to put in the effort, when he's got to prove himself for something or someone, that's when he attaches value to it. But if everything comes easy, he treats it easy. Now, a lot of women today are confused about why men lose interest so quickly. They start strong. The texting, the calling, the compliments, all that energy in the beginning. Then it fades. And the woman's left wondering, what did I do wrong? But here's the truth. Most of the time, it's not that she did something wrong. It's that she didn't make him work for it. She gave him the prize before he ran the race. And I don't mean just physically. I mean emotionally, mentally, spiritually. She gave him access to her heart before he earned her trust. Let me tell you something, ladies. When you make a man work for your time, your attention, your affection, you teach him to appreciate them. It's just like a job. If somebody hands you a paycheck and you didn't work a single hour, that money doesn't mean a thing to you. But when you sweat for it, when you grind for it, when you stay up late and wake up early for it, that money feels different. You treat it differently. You don't waste it. That's how love works for a man. If he invests time, energy, patience, and sacrifice into winning your heart, he's not going to let go of it easily. See, the problem is too many people want shortcuts to love. They want connection without commitment, attention without intention, intimacy without effort. But you can't build anything real that way. A man's respect grows with the effort he puts in. When he has to earn yes, he values it more. And that's when you see a shift. He starts protecting it. He starts guarding it. He starts cherishing it. Because deep down, he knows this. I had to step up for her. Let me speak for the brothers for a second. Men don't fall in love through comfort. We fall in love through challenge. That challenge is what wakes something up inside us. It's not about playing games. It's about setting a standard. When a woman has a boundary, when she says, if you want my time, you need to bring respect, consistency, and effort. That man has to rise up to meet it. He might not even know it yet, but that boundary is shaping him into a better version of himself. It's making him accountable. It's making him realize that real love ain't cheap. It costs effort, and this worth every ounce of it. Every man remembers the woman who made him earn her. The one who didn't fall for the talk, but waited to see the walk. The one who didn't rush to believe promises, but waited for proof. That kind of woman leaves a mark, because once a man experiences love that he had to work for, he never forgets it. He respects it, protects it, and values it, not because she demanded it with words, but because she required it with her worth. So when I say a man respects what he must work for, I mean it from the heart. You're not being difficult, you're being valuable. You're not being hard to get, you're being hard to forget. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the difference between a man who's just passing through and a man who's falling in love forever. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something powerful. The real boundary that makes a man fall in love and stay in love isn't about rules, tricks, or games. It's about one thing, one powerful quality that separates a woman who's remembered from one who's forgotten on self-respect. See, when a woman truly values herself, she moves differently. She talks differently. She carries an energy that can't be faked or borrowed. She doesn't chase love, she attracts it. She doesn't beg for attention, she commands respect. That right there is the kind of boundary that changes everything. Now, I've met a lot of women who ask me, Steve, why do I keep meeting men who don't take me seriously? And my answer is always the same, because you're teaching them how to treat you. See, people don't treat you according to who they are. They treat you according to what you allow. A woman with self-respect has a silent rule book. She doesn't have to shout. She doesn't have to threaten. She doesn't have to demand. Her actions say, if you want access to me, you better come correct. And that alone weeds out the wrong ones. A man can sex a woman's self-respect before she ever opens her mouth. It's in her posture, her peace, her patience. It's in the way she doesn't settle for half love or almost effort. When she says no, she means it. When she says yes, it's earned. And because she respects herself, she automatically attracts a man who respects her too. But if she doesn't value herself, she'll accept anything. And anything is exactly what she'll get. Let me tell you something about men. We know the difference between a woman who knows her worth and a woman who's still trying to figure it out. A woman who knows her worth doesn't compete, doesn't chase, doesn't force anything. She knows that if a man can't step up, she can step away. And that's powerful. That's the kind of energy that makes a man think, I can't play with her. I need to rise up to meet her level. That's how love built on respect begins. See, self-respect isn't about being arrogant or unapproachable. It's about knowing what you bring to the table and not being afraid to eat alone until the right person sits down. It's about saying, I am not for everyone, and that's okay. Because when you respect yourself, you stop trying to convince people of your value. You let them recognize it. The woman who respects herself doesn't have to perform for love. She just has to be herself. And that's what makes her unforgettable. Now, the world will try to tell you that if you set boundaries, you'll scare men away. And that's true, you will scare some men away. But those are the wrong ones. The right man won't be scared, he'll be inspired. Because deep down, every real man wants a woman who holds him accountable to be better. He might not admit it out loud, but he respects the woman who won't let him slide with mediocrity. She's not trying to change him. She's reminding him of what he's capable of. When a woman values herself, she becomes the mirror that shows a man what real love looks like. Love that's rooted in respect, not desperation. She doesn't let anyone talk to her crazy because she talks to herself kindly. She doesn't let anyone play with her time because she honors her own time. She doesn't chase temporary attention because she's busy chasing purpose. And when a man meets that kind of woman, he either steps up or steps aside, but he never forgets her. You see, ladies, the boundary of self-respect is what separates a woman who's loved for the moment from a woman who's loved for a lifetime. Men might play games with who don't know their value, but they commit to women who do. When you respect yourself, you teach him how to love you, not by instruction, but by example. You show him that your heart is not a playground, it's a home. You show him that your love is not cheap, It's an investment. And that kind of woman doesn't ask for loyalty. She earns it by being loyal to herself. She doesn't have to demand consistency. She embodies it. She doesn't have to beg for effort because her self-respect already sets the tone. When a man sees that, when he feels that energy, he realizes he's dealing with something rare. And that's when he falls, not for the surface, but for the soul. A woman's self is the most beautiful boundary she can ever build. It's not a wall that keeps love out. It's a gate that lets the right kind in. When you know who you are, what you deserve, and what you will not tolerate, you create space for the kind of love that honors you. That's the kind of love a man doesn't just fall for, he fights to keep it. Because he knows he's not just loving a woman, he's loving a standard. And that standard is what makes him stay forever. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. Real straight men don't fall in love because it's easy or convenient. They fall in love because they admire something deep inside a woman, something that challenges them, inspires them, humbles them, and makes them want to be better. A man might like what's convenient, but he'll only love what he admires. That's the truth. See, convenience fades. Admiration grows. And that's the difference between a moment and a lifetime. Now, I'm not talking about admiration like, oh, she's pretty, or she smells good. I'm talking about a deeper admiration, the kind that touches a man's spirit. It's when he looks at her and sees strength, confidence, faith, and peace. It's when he sees how she handles herself when life gets messy. It's when he realizes she doesn't need him to complete her. She chooses him to compliment her. That kind of woman makes a man stop and think, wow, I don't want to lose that. Because what he admires, he protects. Men admire women who carry themselves with purpose. A woman who's got direction, who's chasing something meaningful, who's building something for herself, that's magnetic. She doesn't sit around waiting for a man to define her. She's already defined. And when a man meets that, he's drawn to it. It's not because he's looking for a mother or a savior. It's because admiration awakens respect. And respect is the foundation of love. Let me break it down. Convenience is what a man runs to when he's tired, when he's bored, when he's lazy. Convenience says, you're here, so why not? But admiration says, you inspire me to rise higher. That's the difference. A man can be comfortable with convenience, but he's committed to admiration. You see, the one that makes it easy might get his attention, but the woman who makes him think gets his heart. There's something powerful about a woman who doesn't need to impress anyone. She's just being herself, confidently, gracefully, unapologetically. That's what catches a man's soul. Because real men, not boys, not players, real men are looking for substance. They might be distracted by the surface for a while, but they stay where they find depth. When he admires the way she treats people, the way she handles pressure, the way she stands firm in her faith, that admiration becomes the root of his love. You know, people say men fall in love with their eyes, but that's only the beginning. A man might notice beauty first, but what makes him stay is the feeling of admiration. When he sees that she's got something inside her that he can't buy, can't break, can't replace, that's when love begins. He starts thinking differently. He starts protecting her peace, supporting her dreams, and respecting her boundaries. Because he knows he's not just with a woman. He's with someone he looks up to. I've seen men walk away from the most beautiful women because they didn't admire them. And I've seen men stay with a woman through storms because they did. Admiration builds loyalty. When a man admires you, he doesn't want to lose your respect. He starts holding himself to a higher standard. He starts checking himself before he speaks. Because he's not just trying to keep your love, he's trying to keep your admiration too. Ladies, let me tell you something. When a man truly admires you, you don't have to question his intentions. He'll show it in how he listens to you, how he remembers what matters to you, how he protects your emotions. Because admiration turns a man's affection into action. It's no longer about what's easy. It's about what's worth it. A man who admires you will work for you, not because he has to, but because he wants to. Now, let's flip it. A lot of relationships fail because people confuse attraction with admiration. Attraction is physical. Admiration is emotional and spiritual. Attraction makes him chase your body. Admiration makes him chase your heart. And when admiration is missing, the connection falls apart as soon as things get inconvenient. But when admiration is there, even when life gets hard, love stays. Because admiration doesn't depend on circumstances. It's rooted in respect. You see, ladies, admiration makes a man proud to stand beside you. When he talks about you, his voice changes. When he sees you win, he feels like he's winning too. When you walk in a room and carry yourself with grace, he feels honored to call you his. That's not convenience, that's admiration. And it's the only kind of love that lasts. Men might not always say it out loud, but deep down, every man wants a woman he can admire. A woman who challenges him to be the best version of himself. He doesn't fall in love with perfection. He falls in love with the strength behind the smile, the courage behind the calm, the wisdom behind the words. He falls in love with the way she believes in herself, even when life tries to shake her. That's admiration. So when you hear people talk about what makes men fall in love forever, remember this: convenience fades, but admiration endures. A man will never stop loving the woman he truly admires, because admiration isn't about what she gives him. It's about who she is. And once a man finds a woman he admires, he doesn't just love her for what she does. He loves her for what she represents: strength, grace, peace, and power. That's what makes his love last forever. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something straight from the heart. When a woman sets standards, she isn't being difficult, she isn't being demanding, and she sure isn't being hard to love. What she's doing is teaching the world, and especially the man in her life, how she deserves to be treated. A woman's standards are her language of self-worth. They're not about control, they're about communication. They say, this is how I love, this is how I expect to be loved, and this is what I will not tolerate. A woman who knows her value doesn't need to shout it. She shows it through what she allows and what she refuses to accept. See, every man learns how to treat a woman from the feedback she gives him. If she lets him slide with disrespect, he'll think it's okay. If she allows inconsistency, he'll give her less effort. But when a woman draws a line, when she looks a man in the eye and says, "No, that's not how you treat me," she's not being cold, she's being clear. And clarity is powerful. It tells him, if you want me in your life, you're going to have to meet where respect lives. Now, people get it twisted. They think setting standards means having a long list of demands or being picky. But that's not it. Standards is about having boundaries that protect your peace. It's about saying, I know what kind of energy I deserve around me. And believe me, a real man loves a woman with standards. You know why? Because she gives him direction. A man can't rise to expectations that don't exist. A woman with standards helps a man understand what honor looks like in action. She's not trying to change him. She's giving him the opportunity to grow into the kind of man who deserves her. When a woman sets standards, she's setting the tone for the relationship. If she demands honesty, she'll get truth. If she values communication, she'll get consistency. If she expects effort, she'll get commitment. But if she accepts excuses, silence, and half love, that's exactly what she'll get. See, you teach people how to treat you by what you accept from them. And every time a woman lowers her standards to keep a man, she's showing him that he doesn't need to do better. He can do less. But when she holds firm, she forces him to level up. Men are natural learners in relationships. We respond to what you tolerate. You ever notice how a man will treat one woman casually and treat another like a queen? It's not always about the man. It's about what that second woman requires. She made it clear from the start what she expects. And he either had to rise to that or step away. Real men rise. Boys retreat. That's how you separate the two. A woman with standards does have to beg for effort, because her boundaries already make effort the price of admission. She doesn't have to repeat herself, because her actions already speak louder than any words. When she says, "I need respect," she's not asking. She's informing. She's saying, "This is my standard of living, and if you want to be in my world, this is how we move." And when a man sees that, he starts adjusting. Not because he's afraid of losing her, but because he admires the strength it takes for her to stand firm. Let me tell you something, ladies. The right man isn't intimidated by your standards. He's motivated by them. Your standards tell him you're serious, that you value yourself, that you're not here for games. And that kind of woman stands out. She doesn't have to compete with anyone because her confidence speaks for itself. A woman who knows her worth becomes unforgettable, not because she's perfect, but because she's consistent. And that consistency builds trust, and trust builds love. See, the moment you stop accepting less, you start attracting more. You stop chasing attention and start commanding respect. When a man knows you won't tolerate disrespect, he starts checking himself. He starts thinking twice before speaking recklessly. He starts making sure his actions match his words. Because now, he's learning from you, not through lectures, but through example. You're teaching him that love without respect isn't love at all. Men fall in love with standards because standards create safety. You might not think about it like that, but it's true. A woman with standards is predictable in the best way. She's not all over the place. She's grounded. She doesn't say one thing today and another tomorrow. A man knows where he stands with her, and that makes him feel secure. See, we might not say it out loud, but men crave structure in love. We want to know what makes you happy, what crosses the line, what your boundaries are. Because when we know that, we can move right. And don't think for a second that setting standards will make you lose love. It does the opposite. It filters out the wrong kind and prepares you for the right kind. The wrong man will call you too much. But the right man will call you worth it. He'll appreciate the fact that you respect yourself enough not to let anyone mishandle you. And in return, he'll give you the best of himself because he knows he's dealing with a woman who expects greatness. Ladies, every time you lower your standard, you lower your value in his eyes. Every time you hold your standard, you raise your value in his heart. You're not being mean by demanding respect. You're being mature. You're not being bossy by setting boundaries. You're being wise. You're teaching him that real love isn't about convenience. It's about commitment. And commitment always starts with clarity. When you have standards, you don't have to chase love, because love that's meant for you will meet you at your standard. You're showing him what you expect, not by arguing, but by living it. That's how you teach a man, not through lectures, but through consistency. You show him that your time, your energy, your peace, your heart, those are privileges, not entitlements. And when a man realizes that